Tom Ferry is the #1 business coach in real estate.
We can't go into the new year running the same exact playbook.
And he has a wake-up call for you.
Your goals are going to require a different version of you.
In this episode, he drops this year's top-performing strategies.
I don't buy into the one thing. I run Facebook ads and I do Google and I do AI search, blogs, podcasts, great content, live events, email marketing, 4 to 5 CMAs a day, every day. Like brush your teeth, take a shower, go to the gym, send 5 CMAs.
And the most effective systems for generating new business.
I think open houses could be the most underutilized opportunity in all of real estate. Silver Tsunami is a huge opportunity. I would go after expired listings with a catch.
He reveals the multi-million-dollar opportunity most agents are ignoring right now.
I would leverage all the best agents in the market. I would be an SDR, an ISA, an appointment setter for all the best agents in the marketplace.
And we get into some of the wildest personal performance tactics I've ever heard.
Shooting, exosomes into my brain every 6 months.
Make 2026 your best year yet. The Playmakers Podcast begins in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Playmakers Podcast, where we go inside the minds and moves of those shaping the future of real estate. With your host, Andrew Flachner.
All right, welcome back to the Playmakers Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Flachner, and today we're here with my friend, Tom Ferry. Tom, thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I like that you brought in your own Playmakers backdrop here. Very
That's right.
cool.
That's right. I'm crashing your studio,
Yes.
my podcast, your studio, so thank you for that.
You got it.
For those of you who don't know, Tom is #1 real estate coach in the industry, has been for many years, and he's built this massive coaching organization that helps thousands of agents and teams and brokerage executives grow and defend their business. He's also a serial entrepreneur, has started many companies,
Yep.
an investor in RealScout many times over.
Yep.
And
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
and because of that, I've had an opportunity to learn a lot from Tom, essentially figure out how to build a durable, high growth business. And above all else, more people go to Tom than anyone in the industry to learn how to grow. So if you are an agent, you're a team leader, you work on leadership at a brokerage, this episode is dedicated to you, especially as we head into 2026. A lot of people are thinking about how they can level up. That's what this episode is all about. So should we dive in?
Let's do it.
All right.
By the way, you should say that we're in a CEO mastermind together, that we all get together and hang out, which we got to get the next one on the books.
That's right. That's right.
We all share and learn from each other. That's what makes that so dynamic.
Yes. And you'll hear a little bit later in this interview that part of the reason I'm doing these interviews is because of guidance from Tom. So thank you, Tom. You opened Summit, which is your biggest event of the year, by talking about how you can't reach tomorrow's ambitious goals being the current version of yourself. Tell me more about that.
So I have a coach named Dr. Julie Gerner, and if you don't follow her on X or on Substack, I highly recommend it. I think the New York Times referred to her as the real Wendy Rhodes. If you ever saw the HBO show Billions, right? So this sort of fictitious character who's just brilliant at getting people, high performers, to go to the next level. So I hired her about 18 months ago, looking for a change in my own personal coaching, people coaching me. And maybe 4 or 5 months into it, Andrew, we're on a Zoom, and I'm sharing with her, like, this is where I think the industry is going. This is where I'm going. This is what I want to do with the company. This is sort of all the direction of everything I'm doing in my life. And she just sat there, and it was like the longest, 2 minutes, just staring at me. And she goes, I think your goals are going to require a different version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that punched me in I shared this in the mastermind. It punched me in the face. And I was like, God, she's right. And it's not like the metamorphosis between a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. It's not like that dramatic. But at your level, and certainly for your audience, as we go into a new year, and I was saying it in August because that's kind of my annual, New Year thing, is I say, well, if you think about where the market's going, where AI is going, where tech's going, where consumer behavior is going, what's happening with all the portals, there's just change happening all around you. We can't go into the new year running the same exact playbook. Now, a lot of the plays work, right? So I get that. But what are the adjustments? And most typically, and what I talked about at the summit was, most of us, it's the cuts we need to make. It's the things we need to stop doing. As you level up from president to CEO, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you make that adjustment, you got to be able to push away some of the things you've always done that got you here that won't support you, or worse, will take all of your time because you've always done it and it's comfortable, versus what is that next level of you? So that was really the opening message. Like, hey, we're all here for 3 days to figure out what is that next version of you. So it's not like motivational in any way, shape, or form. It's actually very tactical. Like, hey, I probably can no longer afford to do this meeting and this meeting and this meeting. I need to empower my team to do that. And I need an email and a briefing telling me what's going on versus the 3 hours I would spend in those meetings, as an example.
Right. And how much of that transformation is rooted in your environment, the relationships you have, the circle you keep, who you spend your time with?
I think it's always a big part of it. I mean, you know my pops, right? So I was very blessed early on to really understand you are who the people you spend your time with. There's been a couple people on my list that I had to like spend less time with. You know what I mean? And like, and that's not a bad thing. I remember Earl Nightingale, who was my dad's mentor, and he wrote a few books, but he had a lot of records, right? Strangest Secret, et cetera. He was like the godfather of the motivational speaking world. He said, if you were friends with the same people your entire life, you'd be hanging out with your kindergarten buddies. The truth is, we grow and evolve. And I'm not saying like I have friends that I've been friends with forever. I just don't spend a lot of time with them when it's time for me to think about strategy.
Right.
When it's time for me to think about finance, when it's time to think about investing. They're like great to go play pickleball with now and then. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And if an agent did a brutally honest environmental audit,
yes,
what would be the questions they should ask themselves?
I would be first and foremost very clear on what is most important to me, what am I committed to, and then who are the people that naturally align with that. And I want to be clear, you're not talking about being like a selfish jerk, like, everyone's got to be able to support me and my goals. No, I want to spend it's like 80-20. 80-20. 80% of my time, I want to spend time with people like you that are like on the ascend, trying to figure out what's next, trying to solve problems, trying to be creative, trying to influence people around them, trying to help everybody do better. So I don't know if there's an accurate percentage, but the energy sucking vampires you hang out with. And you also, I think more important, the things that you do today. Like I gave up email last year. You
wow.
with me? Like
Tell me about that.
It was and by the way, like I didn't invest in this company. I wish I did. Fixer, right?
Yeah, I was Superhuman, similar company.
Right,
yeah.
right. So I got Fixer and I'm like, this is great. Okay, it's like reading all my emails, it's studying my behavior, it understands how I think, and it can start responding in real time. And I was like, that's great. I'm like, but I get like 1,100 emails a day. So I still had to go through and read 2 variations. And I'm like, this is still a waste of time. So I my chief of staff, I was like, hey, I love you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Here's a very expensive handbag. And your next gift is email. And it's great. I still get a ton of emails. She manages all that correspondence. I still have to read 3 or 4 of them. But the truth is, I picked up like an hour every day that I can now do something far more productive. I can call friends. I can, brainstorm a little bit. I can work on a big project in the company. And that's been a game changer. And the other truth is, I was spending too much time on my phone. Right. I needed a break from my phone, social, text, emails. I needed a break from my phone for my own peace of mind.
I think it's brilliant because email is a to-do list created for you by other people. Exactly. I don't know how you're only saving an hour. You're probably saving more than that.
I mean, I roughly put it at an hour because
okay.
like I'm pretty quick and, it's all sorted, which is kind of nice. But even with Fixer, still, it's a pain in the ass.
What are the traits that separate agents who are going to crush it next year versus those who are going to stagnate?
So fun fact. So I just was pinging back and forth with my friends over at F&F. So by January 5th or 6th, I'll know the percentage of agents in the US that closed 1 to 3 listings for the year, 7 to 10, on and on all the way to like 300-400. What we released at the summit was the first 6 months, 6% of the agents controlled 60% of the listings sold and closed. Wow. 6%. 60% sold and closed. 23% controlled the balance of 40% of the listings sold, and then 71% had 0. Now, for the person listening, if Andrew and I were business partners, we both have an MLS ID, we put them only under one name, so I get that. Teams, some partnerships, so maybe there's 100,000 person, 80,000 person discrepancy, I don't know.
Yeah.
What fundamentally, you can say, hey, were they raised the right way? Did they go to the right school? None of that stuff matters. Matter of fact, show me somebody, and this is going to sound weird, but show me somebody broken. Show me someone that has some anxiety. Show me some person that, parents didn't treat them right. They didn't get to the right school. And I'll probably show you if she was divorced, the next best agent on the planet.
And why is that?
Because they have something to prove. I mean, I'm going to say this and someone will get mad. A single mom will sell more than anybody else because she's got something to prove, right? I was raised by a single mom. Like I get that energy, right? Like she has to do whatever it takes. I mean, in all my events, hey, who's married, who's single? And eventually someone, I'm like, you ever been divorced? Yes. Okay, cool. Do you have kids? Yes. Is your ex like kind of a deadbeat? I don't know if I want to say that out loud. I'll take that as a yes. And I'm like, you can be the best agent on the planet because you don't have a choice. So back to your question. I think it's obviously people that are ambitious. It's obviously people that are paying attention to the culture. It's obvious people that are paying attention to multiple modalities. Like, this is not an environment where you can be myopic in your marketing approach. Like, I've got to get you on this, and I don't care how I do it, right? So I've got to get you in social. I've got to get you in email. I got to get you in text. I got to get you in AI search. I want to get in your mailbox still. And we know in this day and age where we're all just enamored by AI, myself included, face-to-face is still where it's at. I'm literally telling clients today, you need to be doing like a quarterly face-to-face, invite all of your past clients, all of your sphere, get together for Santa photos, get together for dog park walk, whatever it may be. Because the person that does the most marketing, the person that gets the most attention, that's who's going to win. Whoever's closest to the client gets the lion's share of the revenue.
I think even before we get into tactics, I'd love to know, I think performance is shaped often by your daily habits. And so, putting aside like how many phone calls you should do and what type of marketing you should do, what habits have you honed personally that have made everything sharper for you?
I would say having an 8 sleep and getting a really good night's sleep when I'm at a home versus being on the road. When I'm on the road, it doesn't matter what time I get there. I go to bed early so I can wake up early. I do a mobility, like stretch work every single day. That makes a big difference. I get about 30 minutes in without my phone in the morning. First thing, a little meditation, a little mobility, get some stretch, get myself kind of like emotionally ready for the day before I jump into everything else. Exercise, diet, sleep, supplements, peptides, shooting, exosomes into my brain every 6 months to try.
I haven't gotten there quite yet.
But you know what I mean? So I think it's all the stuff that you would imagine, but I also plug into like a lot of content. When it is time to turn the phone on, I'm listening to content that's trying to create new synapses. So I'm not really listening to a lot of real estate related stuff. I'm listening to like other CEOs, other founders, the Founders Podcast, like shout out to David Senra, right? I'm listening to your show with all the incredible people you're interviewing, right? So I'm trying to tap into like, what is that next level of leadership? What's that next level of business? Where's the world going? Peter Diamandis, those kind of people.
Yep.
And all that seems to sort of shape my reality. But if you would ask me, what did I do 35 years ago? Wake up at 4:45 in the morning, call my buddy Chris Heller, do affirmations for 10 minutes, write out my goals every day, write out my affirmation. You know what I mean?
So has it changed over time?
Of course. We all become a different version.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah. You and I both cut back on alcohol quite a bit.
Yes.
We're taking our sleep seriously now.
Let's go.
I haven't done the peptides up the nostrils yet, but maybe in there.
So those actually are exosomes, right? So it's like stem cells, right? So I'm trying to regenerate, I mean, listen, I was a knucklehead kid, right? I did everything wrong, went to punk rock shows, got kicked in the head. I've had multiple concussions from snowboarding. Anything I can do to create brain health, I'm going to do to create brain health.
For a separate episode, we should need to get more detail on that. And you actually post some of these like
I do
point of view, recordings of
this
the
guy's like shooting a needle into
blood's
my
pouring
brain
down your face. Great content, everybody. Follow
no
Tom Ferry.
No blood. Yeah, he's a professional doctor. Yes, Harvard doctor, by the way. Yes.
This show is brought to you by RealScout. AI Search by RealScout is a brand new way to search for homes and build client alerts. You describe what a client wants in natural language. Homes with pools, fixer-uppers, or maybe a client who's willing to pay a little bit more in one school district over another. And then AI Search by RealScout translates that entire criteria into an MLS alert that you can review, fine-tune, and then share. It is the most advanced home search in the industry, and you can see a demo now at realscout.com. For a limited time, mention this podcast on your demo to get 25% off annual plans. Terms apply. If you could leave agents with 3 daily disciplines for the next 90 days, what would they be?
First and foremost, you got to spend 30 minutes every single day in the MLS looking for correlations on pricing. Why are 4 bedrooms selling faster than 3 bedrooms? Why is this part of town not selling as fast? What's the days on market here? Where's price I was in Cleveland. It was like this county price appreciation at like 7%, but where we were, it was like down 3%. Like the smartest agent on the planet knows you have to understand the macro and macro trends of what's happening in the world, micro trends in your local marketplace. So when someone says, how's the market, you can answer it intelligently. That's one. Number 2 is whoever has the most appointments in their calendar wins. I don't care how you get them, right? I mean, I would prefer that your cost to acquire a client isn't like 40% referral fees, but What does that mean? That means I've got to have daily marketing activities, daily prospecting activities, daily follow-up activities. I don't smoke signals. I don't care how you get them, but I know this, like every time I've, Andrew, done a challenge with someone where I don't say like, can you prospect and give me like 30 contacts a day for like 100 days? I go, can you give me 100 appointments in the next 6 months? And then we'll judge the results. Every time you give them a goal around the leading indicator of a healthy sales business, their results go through the roof. So know the market, marketing, and appointments. That's it.
Amazing. Let's move on to some frameworks behind goal setting, because this is my favorite time of the year. I'm a total geek. I got my spreadsheets out. I have my personal roadmap, my professional roadmap.
Dude, I'm getting like my legs are like bouncing because I'm the same exact thing.
Great. So I think everyone here would walk away with a lot if they understood what an annual planning process actually looks like for you and your clients.
So I start first with sort of, hey, what did you do last year? Right. So if we're talking business planning or goals, like business or personal.
Let's start with business.
Okay. So I'm literally been doing this for about feels like 36 years. So what did we do last year, right? What was your revenue, right? How many transactions? What did you break down? Listing sold to buy sale? Like I want to know that ratio. Then I want a detailed analysis of how many transactions came from each lead pillar, right? Because all the time, this is why I get at events. I'm like, hey, so how many of you guys got, you work by referral? Every hand goes up. And I go, did you do open houses last year? They're like, yes. I'm like, you're a liar then. Because you didn't say the only way to get into my open house, you got to be referred by one of my past clients. You will work with anybody, anytime, anywhere, but you prefer to be referred. I get that. I want to break down every one of the transactions. And then I want to look at, did you spend time or money to generate those transactions? And as I think about the future, can that be optimized? Can I make it better? Can I spend more money and get a bigger result? Can I spend more time with them and get a better result? And then I want to look for, what are the things that you did that were like a one-off that got you a transaction? Is there a thread we can pull on that? Can we generate more opportunities from that? Mm-hmm. So typically what I want to get to is 6 different lead generation pillars for somebody that wants to sell 25, 30, 50, 80, 100, whatever, like to really make this a serious business. You got to be doing 2 deals a month, right? So I want to look at those 6 pillars and I want to figure out, how much money did you spend? How much time did you spend? And what was the results? That's all from last year. What was your budget in terms of what your costs were going to be, what your actual profit was, what is that margin? And then we go into next year and say, now what's possible? And then once we just reverse engineer, again, same thing, 6 lead pillars, where's it all going to come from? How much time and energy? What's my budget going to be? What's my profitability going to be? Then we ask the most important question. What systems and structure are required for you to make that actually happen? Because come on, how many times have we seen this? I'm like, hey, what's your goal for next year? Oh man, I want to double my business. And I'm like, come on, 7. You with me? That's not a strategy.
You need to have structure.
Not even even the plan can be basic. A system will produce what a system will produce, nothing more, nothing less. So if I put a system in place to sell 50 transactions a year, which means listing launches, right? Showings, everything that needs to happen. If there's a system and a process, maybe a person, maybe AI, maybe technology, maybe all the above, then I've got a fighting shot. But what we don't want is, hey, think about, for my friend that's listening, if you're a broker owner, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you have a system in place for your recruiting, you recruit more people. If you have a great system in place for onboarding and training agents to become more successful, you have more successful agents. Some fail, but at least you have a system and a process for doing it. When I stand in front of an audience and I say, here are the 16 systems you should have in place, mark off the ones you have, you can see it in the room. Like most of the people that are coming to a Tom Ferry seminar, especially clients, they're like, okay, I have all of those, but I need to improve on. Or a non-client might go, I have like 9 of those, but I need to make incremental adjustments to allot for the growth that I want.
What's an example of a system?
Take it as simple as you can do, am I findable in AI search, right? So do I have a system to produce high quality blog? First of all, are all my bios set up so someone doing an AI search is going to find me? Heads up, if your blog says dog lover and lover of wine, no one's searching for that, right? They're searching for the most successful agent in Omaha, Nebraska. They're looking for someone with a lot of reviews. So, like getting your bios right, making sure you're on every possible platform, and then high quality blogs, whether it's 1 a day, 5 a day, 1 a week, that actually answer the questions on the minds of consumers. So whether you do Google Analytics or you go to Answer the Public, and my point is all that then needs to be turned into a checklist that every week, every month, we're writing a blog. And whether it's never you, it's always the AI, right? And by the way, you can outsource most of this like a 10-year-old. You with me? But
Yep.
but that means also, I'm a big fan of everything has to be up and visual. My mentor, Mike Vance, worked side by side with Walt Disney for like the last 8 years that Walt was alive. So he launched Orlando. He was the dean of the Disney University. Then he went on to work with Steve Jobs and Jack Welch and Mother Teresa. And then me, no pressure, right? Like you had to do something big. He said, the reason why Walt was so successful is all the plans were up and visual. It wasn't like one war room. It was every project was up and visual so you can see what was happening in the business. We know it as the 4 disciplines of execution. You need to scoreboard everything to see how you're performing. But in this case, it was all of his project work, whether it was a film or building, Orlando.
I put a lot of time into prepping for these interviews, and I went deep into the Tom Ferry archives. I saw an interview you did 10 years ago where you talked about the core 4 lead sources.
Yes.
And now it sounds like maybe 6 is the right number.
6.
But I have a question for you. How do you square the idea that you want diversification, you want systems running in parallel, but you also, there's this notion that you want to concentrate a lot of your effort on one thing to become a master of your craft. So how do you square that? How do you balance that? Because you don't want to water down or dilute your efforts either.
Gary wrote an incredible book called The One Thing.
Love it.
I don't
Yeah.
think it applies to marketing and lead generation.
Mm.
Matter of fact, I know it doesn't apply to marketing and lead generation because if it did, I would only do one thing. But I run Facebook ads and I do Google and I do AI search and I do blogs and I do podcasts and I create content and we do live events and we do email marketing. In today's day and age, it's all awareness. So yes, do I want to become really good with clients? Yes. How I get that client? Is there a difference between, say, an expired listing and a past client? Of course. Right? At the end of the day, I don't buy into the one thing. I get the concept. I get laser focus. I get, Tom, don't start 10 companies in 1 year, start 1. I get that. But when it comes to marketing and lead generation, one of my best friends is the chief revenue officer for 3 Day Blinds, right? Dan, who you met. Mm-hmm. Dan has like 42 different ways that he's trying to find people that want to put mini blinds in their house. I asked him one day, what's your addressable market? And he said, every window in the United States.
Yep.
Like that's so.
But he also has insane systems.
He has incredible systems and he tracks and measures everything. He knows attribution for every dollar, every campaign. So is that one thing? Or is his one thing what he said to us? I book 5,000 appointments a week for my sales team.
Right.
That's his one thing. He doesn't care how he gets it, but he knows if I get 5,000 appointments a week, game's over. If you're a broker owner, you're watching this, what if you had an appointment setting team inside of your brokerage? That's what we're talking about with your sales team, with my sales team. Like every good business has an appointment setting focus because that's the leading indicator of an effective sales team.
So going back to lead sources, what emerging or underrated sources of business are you most excited about right now?
Just based, excited is a weird way to say it. Silver Tsunami is a huge opportunity.
Yeah, tell us about that.
If you look in the US, you got 22 million people that are in the oldest generation left in the US. And again, I'll misquote the numbers. It's like 80 to 99, right? There's 22 million of them.
Right.
Most of them own a house. Most of them will tragically pass or their spouse will pass and that property will go into probate. And that's horrible, right? Like it should be, we should be marketing in a way that gets the kids or the grandkids to choose the real estate agent long before grandma gets sick, right? Then you've got the baby boomer generation, which are sitting on trillions of dollars in equity in their homes because they paid it off a long time ago. And the reason why I say this is a great opportunity, and someone's going to get mad, don't send me an email. I say it for comedy. Maybe it's not funny, maybe it's dark, but their real estate agent that sold them that house is dead. They haven't been in the business for a long time. So I say, sit down with your local title exec and say, show me every home in our area, the whatever spectrum I want to work, that's a 2-story property where there's no mortgage and that we can identify they lived there for decades and decades and decades. And then I say, you need to take them on and you need to market to them in their context, their modality. It's not a just listed card. It's not a just sold card. They don't care. But this is maybe you'll find value out of this. If you could take this statement and run as many problems through it as possible, ready? The marketing is, if you've ever said, problem, most of these rooms sit empty these days, it might be time to downsize. So the model is, if you've ever said, it might be time to downsize, fill in as many pain points as, if you've ever said, the grandkids live too far away, it might be time to make a move. Now you're marketing exactly to what's on their mind. And, personalization, we talk about it all, that's good marketing that I read it and I go, she's talking to me.
That's great copy.
Yeah. So Silver Tsunami's big, AI search is big. I think open houses could be the most underutilized, lowest CAC opportunity in all of real estate.
Tell me about that.
I literally, Jill Biggs, who you know, right? Talking with Jill a couple of days ago, she has, at any given time, 30, 40, 50, 60 active listings. We want to hold them open all the time. So we'll do like upwards of 120 open houses a weekend. Wow. Or excuse me, for the month, like all the weekend for the month, because she's got enough properties and enough agents. And we look at the numbers, we look at her conversion on that. It costs us absolutely nothing. And one of our concentrations for this year is, okay, can we maintain that pace? And then can we increase the conversion of traffic coming in? Even if you got 30 open for the weekend and you only get 3 or 4 couples through each, times 30.
Right.
You with me? And if I can get them before Zillow gets them, if I can get them before any one of the other portals get them, I got no cost to acquire that client. Like, that's just common sense. Plus, think about all the signs in the marketplace, all the branding in the marketplace. But you're like, Tom, I don't have that many listings. Well, if you're a brokerage, smart brokers are doing like not NAR's, April open house campaign. It's every single month until everyone dies campaign.
Right.
It's just a no-brainer. So past clients, geographic farm or targeted farms, right? Magic buyer letters, that kind of stuff. Obviously some form of arbitrage, online, Google, Zillow, Realtor, something, right? Something, because you need a little steady flow of opportunities. It also builds your database. And then you're looking at right now expired listings. I don't know when this is going to be launched, but we all know what happens the first week of January.
Right.
It could be 145,000 homes come on the market or come off the market. That's like a $1.5 billion commission jump ball on January 1st. Who in their right mind's not going to, people, I'm like, do you work expires? Like, no, I don't like expires.
And expires are way up.
They're way up. And do you see the number that came out in October? 54% increase in people withdrawing their listing.
Right.
That's not, my friends, because they had too many offers.
Right.
So I don't know. I probably answered your question a bunch, and clearly I'm excited. I love this conversation.
Let's talk about AI just for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
What is a great way for an agent to approach it if they're feeling intimidated, they don't know where to begin? Not the really advanced Zapier integrations, but like where should people start?
Well, I think it's bifurcated. It's either bifurcated to help me become more efficient with my marketing and my messaging and my communication. I know agents today that are like, I won't shoot a video. And I'm like, yeah, but will you stand in front of a camera on HeyGen for like 3 minutes and just talk? Because then you just upload the script and you're on video.
Right.
And like when we first got into HeyGen 2 years ago, I might have 7 fingers and move like this. But now like it's like commercially viable.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, HeyGen will take your likeness and turn it into a video avatar.
Yeah, an AI avatar. So then you can just write the script and there you go. Now you're shooting videos. But again, I look at AI and I say, okay, there's the marketing use case for it, right? Marketing, communication, branding, etc. What content should I create? Make this content better, make this email better, make this letter better, etc. For the most part, in my experience, I'd say like a good 30 to 40% of the agents, they've already got that one down. You with me?
Yeah.
The real money is in operations and systems and Zapier, making the integration. So anytime this happens, this and this and this and this and this automatically happen. And I think that's where we're going to see the greatest gains in profitability. That's where we're going to see the biggest gains in increasing conversion. We're spending money, as you know, on all these other like email drip campaigns and software and this, trying to solve a problem that I think you could probably find it if you just better optimize your database, using some AI tools as triggers to say this person gets a text, that person gets an email from me, etc.
If you want more advanced tactics on that, check out Jason Pantana, AI Academy. Really 100%. Incredible stuff. I'm not an affiliate and I don't make any money off of that.
I am.
But I'm the one saying that it is really good stuff. Jason's fantastic.
Jason he bounces back and forth every month. He's got kind of AI advanced and AI basics, but in both cases he does, hey, this is marketing and then this is like marketing, blogging, etc. And then, hey, this is more, how do you optimize your business? I do this experiment now where I say, hey, these are the 16 systems every real estate agent should have. And I'm at seminars, people, they're taking a photo up and I go, you're not going to do anything with that photo. I go, let me show you the next slide. The next slide is a prompt that says, act like the greatest systems organizer, administrator, architect, and create a checklist for every one of those systems you saw in the other photo and or make a software recommendation. And in 2 seconds, everybody goes, oh my God. I said, now creating the system's the easy part. Implementing it and having it become your daily discipline or your habit, that's the hard part. But I'm trying to move away from the marketing side and get people to start realizing a system will produce what a system will produce, nothing more, nothing less. So
I'm picking up on a pattern here. Systems.
It's the new year. I'm looking at every one of my businesses and saying, if we're going to go from here to here next year, it's not going to be on sheer willpower. It's not going to be on Tom's desire. It's only going to be predicated on, do we have the system and structure in place to support that growth, to generate the new number of appointments, the new number of recruits, the new number of whatever it is. If we don't have it, it's not going to happen.
All right, so we're touching on content. It can still be intimidating. In fact, a quick little story for everyone listening. Tom had me out to his mastermind in Dallas, and he went around the room and said, who's creating video content? And everyone raised their hand except for me. And you looked at me like I don't believe in gravity, okay? You looked at me with horror in your eyes.
Flat earther, what's going on here? Yes.
Yeah, and so fast forward to today, here we are recording video. My podcast is taking off, and I, like a lot of people out there, feel like, I wish I did it sooner. And so first off, why is video content so high leverage for marketing?
So I don't know who made this up, but I was told once, hey, if you take like 90 seconds and you create a piece of content, a video, it maybe gets viewed by 100 people. And you might go, oh my God, 100 people, that's horrible. But the person that shared this with me said, well, how long would it take you to go knock on 100 doors and have 100 conversations? I was like, not 90 seconds. Okay, what if you had one and you had 500 views? Well, that's like the same as the equivalent of having 500 people in a movie theater watch your content for 90 seconds. Even if they watch it for 10 or 8 seconds, it doesn't make a difference. They're starting to impression on you like, oh, he's the source of truth. I like this message. I don't like this message. But then if you have one that has like 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000, now you're at Tom Ferry Summit and you're talking to that many people. So I remember watching a piece of content. I think it was the head of Facebook in Europe. And this is probably 8 years ago. She came out and she basically said, everything is going to be video first. And you and I have been around long enough to watch the evolution of pick your favorite news channel. It went from all text and headlines to all video and headlines. Like ESPN is all video, right? Everything has gone there. Why? Because it's the highest leverage. Plus, you film this, it's going to be on audio, it's going to be on video. I don't know if you take all this content and turn it into blog posts, turn it into email posts. You can take a video and you can carve it up into so many different ways to communicate your message. That's why it's the highest leverage.
Well, that's a nice segue to the next question, because I was really intimidated by making content until you introduced me to Rory Vaden.
Yes.
And Rory Vaden, best-selling author, marketing genius. Yes. And he was on stage talking about how you don't have to create a zillion pieces of content. You can have fewer really outstanding pieces of content and then repurpose them.
Correct.
What's an example of that?
So if I looked at my YouTube channel, the one with the most views, I haven't looked at it, 13, 15 million views, which, I mean, listen, that's nothing. You know what I mean? Like some famous celebrity just does something weird and 50 million views. But, for a little real estate coach, like that's a lot of views, right? But I took that one piece of content and I could put it in an Opus Clip or any one of those other clipping, solutions. And now I've got like 22 pieces of content that I can like spruce into my stories, put them on YouTube Shorts, take the most provocative message, etc. So that's the easiest way to look at it.
And for those who want to get started with video content, what are the 4 easiest video topics that they can record on their phone right now?
I would go more macro first. I would say, don't shoot video content if it's about you. Shoot content for your audience. What is valuable to them? It could be entertainment. It could be news. It could be data and stats. It could be where are things going. I used to go early on Facebook and I would just ask people like, what's important? Like what's on your mind right now? And then funny enough, like the Tom Ferry show would cover that the next week or the following week. So I think it's very important you ask yourself, what's important to my customers without your own bias. Do a survey, send a Survey Monkey email out and say, hey, if I covered this topic, this topic, this topic, or this topic, which one would be most important to you? And then whatever their answer is, do more of that. So I would argue today, what's important to people? Affordability, right? That's a major factor right now. So if there's something that you can say or do that delivers value to your constituents, your database about affordability, that matters, right? So which means you could talk 50-year loans, assumable loans. You could talk about the new construction development project that's happening 25 minutes outside of town, but it's connected to Freeway 35 that I see what's happening from an affordability standpoint. That would be one. You could talk about what's happening in your local marketplace. There's a guy I'm following right now. I don't even know his name, but I'm obsessed with this content because I live in Dallas and all he does is talk about everything happening in the business world in Dallas. New restaurant, business. The Goldman Sachs building, 5,000 employees. Here's what's happening here. And he does it in that 3-frame, which we've all seen before, like the 3 frames of content. So he's got like the Goldman Sachs building here, this new restaurant here, and this new shopping center that just was sold to such and such. He doesn't talk about real estate.
Right.
but I feel like I'm more informed watching him about my hometown than anybody else. So think about macro news, micro news. Think about macro, what's happening in society, counter it to what's happening in your local marketplace. Affordability, what's happening in town. And then listen, if I was a real estate agent today, without a shadow of a doubt, I would be, if I have new construction in my marketplace, I would be doing live videos and perfectly, beautifully edited content on every new construction development in my marketplace. I would be known as the person to go to if you want to find out what builder's doing what land was just entitled, who's going to build on it, because we're in housing. And then I'd be interviewing every single person I can in and related to the real estate world, from attorneys, closing transactions, title insurance, escrow, mortgage, everybody, because I want people to know that holistically, I'm looking at the entire industry. Who's got the best rental properties? Who owns the most rental properties? I'm going to look at everything.
All right, that's a whole lot more than 4. So
yes,
hopefully everyone walked away with 5 things they can do.
I'm gonna have to learn to talk faster too.
All right, I want to talk about personal development, something you know a little bit about.
Yes.
You've had an opportunity to spend more time with Tim Grover, and
Sure.
I'm curious, for people who don't know who that is, can you just give us a quick high level?
If you're a high performer but you want to find another gear, Tim Grover is the guy.
And what about his philosophy resonates with you?
I am that guy. I want that same thing. I won't even tell you the amount of money it would make most of you throw up to spend a day with him. I'm in this room, and if I name dropped, you would know every name. And there was only like 18 of us inside the room.
Right.
And so what he talks about is very counter to what we all think about. Like, he says basically, there is no balance. If you are a high performer, like, many people have to put a mask on to like charge themselves up and go hit the storm, right? To go do the work. So like, oh, I'm interviewing people. Oh, I'm going to put the mask on to be the best interviewer, it's possible, right? He says the highest performers, they're the opposite, right? They have that all the time. They have to put the mask on when they go home. They have to figure out how to like dim the flame of insanity down a little bit so they can be a better husband, so they can be a better father, so they can be a friend, because the level of obsession that happens at that level is just out of this world. And he's telling the real world example. I knew Kobe, right? So real world examples of working with Kobe and having his daughters and how he needed to like put a dad mask on because he was so obsessed about winning championships. So that's the kind of stuff that Timmy talks about that is very counter to what most people's philosophy are today. But some of us, if you're a killer and you're a killer doing what you do as the CEO of your company, it's like you can never turn that flame all the way off, right? You can dim it a tad, even when you're on vacation. It's just dimmed a tad. But in the moment of truth, when nobody else is watching, you're thinking about your business.
Right.
You're thinking about what's going to be next, right? Every listener on your podcast, for sure, they know what I'm talking about. So Timmy talks about that kind of stuff, which is very counter to a lot of people's message. Like, you can have balance, you can have it all. They're totally full of it.
How much do you personally invest in your coaches, the masterminds that you attend?
So I'm not going to say this to be like braggadocio, but remember, I barely got into high school. I didn't go to college, and I am a sum total of the men and women that I essentially paid for guidance. So like today, like Rory Vaden's a coach, right? I use his company, and I have Dr. Julie Gerner. She's one of my coaches. She's $2,000 a session. You don't show up unprepared at $2,000 a session. 2 events that I go to, between the two, it's $75,000, just, $25,000 or $27,000 now just to get in the door, right? If they will accept you. So I spend a lot of money for access. I spend a lot of money for guidance. Like, I'm trying to create a better version of myself. So it's not all business. I've got 2 trainers I work with. I've got a relationship coach. I've got all these people trying to support me in whatever that next level is for me. So I don't like, someone's going to be, right? Like, listen, different strokes for different folks. Some people will buy a car. I'd rather have another coach. I'd rather have another guide. I'd rather have another Sherpa who's been to that mountaintop, who can make the path a little bit easier and less risky for me. So I invest a lot in myself.
And what would you say to agents who are not willing to spend even 1% of that on themselves?
Good on you.
Yeah.
I have no judgment. Like, being coached requires being coachable. And I don't think the vast majority of people on this planet are coachable. And Dr. Carol Dweck, growth mindset, fixed mindset, right? Something happened to a lot of people in the early days of their life. that there's this stigma of like, you can't tell me what to do, screw the man, I got to figure it on my own. I've always been this kind of person. So they create a story. I have no judgment around that. Like, good on you. If you have joy and happiness, that's all that matters. Do you know what I mean? That's all I care about.
You've coached thousands of clients,
Yeah.
and what's the difference between somebody who gets 10x value from coaching versus someone who nothing really changes for them?
Easy. The person that gets 10x leans in and does the work. They probably have their assistant or their marketing director or their ops leader on the coaching session with them, because they should be out listing and selling real estate and doing stuff. So their job is like, the coach is like, give them little tweaks, but give the meaty projects to the person on their team. That's where they get the big lift.
There's a huge group of agents out there that get stuck in what I call the messy middle, right? Where they are not new agents. They're also not top producers, but they've sort of plateaued.
Mhm.
What keeps them there?
What you need is more options, because if you look at right now, since the rates went to 8 a couple of years ago, and now obviously they're way less than that, when that happened, the sales cycle became really long.
Mhm.
So you used to, even on online leads, you used to get like 100 leads and close 3 houses, or maybe another source, it was you would close 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10. Today it's like 1 out of 20, 1 out of 30, not because the lead source got bad, but because the economic climate changed, sales cycles got longer. So what they need way more steady lead generation.
Right. And a lot of people take their foot off the gas as soon as things start flowing.
Poor, rich, poor, rich, poor, rich is a symptom. We call it the vicious cycle. And again, I don't mean to beat the drum over and over again. If you have more appointments, everything is good. And the only way you're going to get you can't just, maybe you have a billboard and you just walk around, thinking about buying or selling real estate, like hit the QR code on my belly button. I don't know. It's consistent marketing and lead generation for every business on the planet. Whoever gets in front of their customers the most wins. So you have to build your plan for 2026 around what are the sources that I'm going to consistently go after. They're going to give me the highest return and the most appointments possible. It's some level of reliability.
All right, I want to wrap up with a reset question, because a lot of agents are feeling like they need a fresh start heading into 2026.
Yes.
So if you're a real estate agent,
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, you heard it from Tom Ferry direct. If you're a real estate agent or a team and you lost everything, you lost your brand, you lost your list, you woke up in a new city, you have a car, $1,000, a phone, what would you do in the first 30 days to rebuild a 7-figure real estate business?
If the market had expired listings, I would go after expired listings with a catch. I would figure out very quickly in each of those geographic farms by looking at the MLS and analyzing who's making the most sales in those areas. And I would call the client and say, I can get you Andrew Flachner. I'm calling on behalf of Andrew. And then I call Andrew and go, Andrew, I have a listing appointment. Do you want to come with me? We'll split it 50-50.
Wow.
And I would leverage all the best agents in the market. I would be an SDR, an ISA, an appointment setter for all the best agents in the marketplace. And then once I've got a couple transactions under my belt, I may continue to use them. But once I have that track record to say, well, I sold this one and this one and this one and this one, I now have the confidence to build. Now, will that get me to $1 million in GCI? That's going to depend upon my average sales price. You know what I mean? So that, if I'm in Cleveland, you got to do a lot of deals. If I'm in Beverly Hills, you might only have to do, 1 or 2 big ones, or, maybe 7 or 8 big ones.
I like the strategy.
Yeah, that would be my approach.
I want to end with something that every listener can walk away and implement in their business as soon as this episode wraps. For the agent who knows that they're underperforming compared to their potential, what is the one commitment that they should write down today? Something so clear that if they kept that commitment for 12 months, their identity, their systems, their income would be unrecognizable.
So I'm going to assume that you have the average person we talk to has about 1,000 people in their database, right? Their database. And what I would say is, I want every single person in your database to get a CMA from you twice a year. So what would have to be true if you had 1,000 people for you to send out, let's call it 2,000 CMAs over time? So I'd probably go 2,000 divided by 240 work days. So I got to send 5 per day, Monday through Friday, in the mail, and then follow up with a phone call. And if I could just do one, again, I'm talking about someone with experience, not me moving to a new market. If you just did that and then you called and said, hey, Andrew, Tom Ferry, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Hey, outstanding, man. So look, I bet your phone and your news is just inundated with people saying, oh my God, the entire real estate market is going to fall apart. Transactions are down. People's homes are crashing. REOs are up 400%. Are you reading some of that news?
Yep.
That's exactly why I put together a beautiful comparative market analysis of exactly your home and what's happening in your neighborhood. Did you get a second to look at it?
Of course.
Any questions about the market? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, before I let you go, Andrew, two things. First, do you guys have any plans to like remodel anything, home improvements? Because, I got a list of people that are phenomenal. I can recommend them. Anything like that? And all I'm looking for is that's the leading indicator of them selling their house. We're redoing the kitchen and the bathroom. Then I'm going to say one last thing before I let you go. Andrew, I would be the worst real estate agent on earth if I didn't say to you, have you had any thoughts of selling in the next 12 to 18, 24 months?
Right.
And they all say, no. And then I say, really? Really? You had no thoughts? No, you haven't got a letter from an agent saying, oh my God, I got a buyer and they're willing to pay whatever, right? No thoughts? And that's when they go, well, the truth is, we're not sure. And, my kids are almost gone. And like, maybe we're going to Florida. So like, I think doing that and having 5 of those every day, if you did nothing else and you had 1,000 people in your database, now some you don't have mailing addresses for, so you got to clean that up. You have Phyllis Dog Park, you got to get Phyllis's information. So I would do, 4 to 5 CMAs a day, every day. Like brush your teeth, take a shower, go to the gym, send 5 CMAs.
If you're listening, write that down, commit to it, revisit it every single week, a few CMAs a day. I think that's a great place to end.
No
Thank
brainer.
you so much, Tom. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like and subscribe. And please take a screenshot and tag Tom Ferry, tag A Flachner on social media so we know to make more content like this. This is the Playmakers Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Flachner, and we'll see you next time.